everything that you'll ever need to know. So we're not even in Vietnam anymore, but the Vietnam series is about to start.
So we thought that maybe there should be a video
That has all the information put together in one place.
as an ultimate guide. Something that talks about everything.
From tickets, visa, transportation, itinerary, and mistakes you should never make.
So we're gonna tell you everything while we go about our day.
Okay?
Okay?
Let's go. So Vietnam was not in our plan this year, and neither was Thailand. But we got invited to Thailand for a wedding. So while we were deciding if we should spend that much for just 2 weeks in Thailand, we discovered something crazy. If you book a round trip from India to Thailand, it will cost you 22,000 rupees. But check this, if you book a one-way flight to Bangkok, it will cost you 10,000 rupees. Then book a flight from Bangkok to Ho Chi Minh for just 4,000 rupees. And then book a return flight from Hanoi to Delhi for 12,000 rupees. Which means adding Vietnam to Thailand only costs around 4,000 rupees more in flights.
So that was the ticket. Now visa is where things get really interesting. It's like you're sort of getting scammed. And you won't even know it. Get what I mean? No? Let me explain. Now this is a very Vietnam specific problem. When you try to apply visa online for Vietnam, you will find many sites which have the word GOV in it. These aren't actually government sites, they just appear to be. Now the problem is, they're charging you $17 extra for God knows what. Because when you land in Vietnam, you have to pay $25 as stamping fee, which is actually the entire visa fee anyway. But there is a site which we found where you can get your e-visa in 3 days for only $25. So write this down somewhere.
Hope you wrote that down. So now that you're going to Vietnam, you have to decide where to go. But can you cover all of Vietnam in one trip? I'll answer that right after we get groceries. Okay, can you cover Vietnam in one trip? Yes, you can if you have like 6 months. Don't get it? Let me explain. Now, this is where most people go wrong. Everyone wants to see all of Vietnam in one trip. This is actually not the smartest idea. Vietnam is a lot like India in that way. Can you see all of India in one trip? No, India is massive. All the way from Ladakh to Tamil Nadu, it takes time. Similarly, for Vietnam, you should try to make more than one visit. We have already made 2 trips here and we'll definitely want to make another one. But if you insist, this is all the places we would suggest and the route. So, you should land in Hanoi because you just can't miss this place. This whole place has an amazing vibe, especially the old quarters. After Hanoi, you should go to Cat Pa. Cat Pa is super beautiful and not so touristy. From here, take the Halong Bay cruise and then move to Hoi An. Now wait, you can also consider going to Sapa before Hoi An. The reason we have skipped it so far is because it's super touristy. So maybe on a 3rd trip, we would go here. Now when you reach Hoi An, it will be the highlight of your trip. Tons of things to do here, which we will show in the upcoming vlogs. And next, you have to cover Da Nang, which is nearby as well. After Da Nang, you can go to Ninh Binh. We have missed it so far, but it's very beautiful and will definitely be on our next trip. Now from Ninh Binh, you have 3 options. You can either go to Dalat straight or stop at Nha Trang first and then go to Dalat, or go to this cute little town called Quy Nhon. We went to Quy Nhon because we love the laid back vibe, and then go to Dalat. Do not miss Dalat. You will see it why when our vlog comes. It's absolutely amazing. After Dalat, you can go to Ho Chi Minh and then fly back to India.
So that was a long route, but it's worth it. The next thing we want to talk about is transportation in Vietnam. Because of the long list of places we showed you about, you should know what to expect in each of them. So let's go. For traveling inside Vietnamese cities, you have 2 options. Rent a scooty, but there's a catch. I'll let Tushar explain in the next section of the vlog. Or you hire cabs, which you can book via the app called Grab. Now, for moving from one city to another, you have 3 options. Either you take a flight, which aren't all that expensive if you book them in advance. The good part is it saves you a lot of time and is the most comfortable option. And the bad part, well, it's the most expensive option. Next is the train option. You get 2 choices here, where you can either choose a chair option or a sleeper option. The good part is that it's cheaper than flights, and for some routes like going from Quy Nhon to Nha Trang, it's extremely beautiful. Bad part, it takes a lot of time, and unless you take the sleeper version, it can be the least comfortable option. The third option, and our favorite option, are the buses. Vietnam buses are an experience in themselves. The good part is that they are the cheapest, most comfortable, super clean, and you can book them last minute without having to pay a higher price. Now the bad, they're also the slowest option, so you need to have time. Ideally, depending on how long your trip is, what your budget is, you can do a travel mix by choosing buses for some routes.
So while Tanvi was explaining, she mentioned the scooty situation. And this is the point that no one tells you about. But because we are such research nerds, we're gonna decode this one for you. Let's go. So here's the thing. 99% of the people who have hired a scooter in Vietnam have done it illegally. Yes, that's the truth. Does Indian, American, Canadian or even Australian license work? No, it does not. Does IDP issued in these countries work? No, it does not. And here's why. Now, what is an IDP? It's basically a permit issued by your home country certifying that your license is valid in these countries that have come together in a convention. A convention. This is where it gets tricky. Now, there were 3 conventions. One signed in 1926, then in 1949 and 1968. So the countries that showed up in these conventions, those only recognize each other IDPs. Vietnam recognizes 1968 conventions, which was not signed by India or US, Australia and Canada. So IDP issued in these countries is not valid in Vietnam. Now, somehow the British showed up in that conventions and they can do whatever they want. So, is there any way at all? Yes, but it isn't really feasible. You can have your local license translated to Vietnamese, but this requires that you have a visa which is valid for 3 months. Then you have to navigate the system, which won't be easy unless you have someone who can speak the local language, and then have your license converted to Vietnamese. Hard, right? But now you're thinking, hey, I've seen people riding around in Vietnam. Are they doing it illegally? Yes, because here is the shady truth. 99% of the time, you won't get stopped by cops inside the city unless you break some rule. And if you do get stopped, you have to pay a fine. Now, this fine is what they call coffee money. In India, we call it chai pani. Yes, a bribe. So what most people do is they carry 2 wallets to avoid a hefty fine. You get stopped, you pay, and you move on. Is this the most ideal thing? No, it is not. It's actually quite wrong. But the alternative is to spend lots and lots on cabs. I just don't understand why this gap hasn't been plugged by both the countries, because it's just so inconvenient. We tried going the cab route just for one day and trust me, it burnt a hole in our budget. Why did we not hire a scooter that day? Because we made a mistake.
Yes, mistake. Some of these you only come to know in hindsight and through experience. But lucky for you, we've made a lot of them. And now you can learn from it and hopefully avoid it. So here are the 5 mistakes you shouldn't make. Number 1. When you book your stay in Vietnam, you must ask them if they can rent you a scooty. Because in case it's a weekend, you will find it really hard to find a place where scooties are left. Number 2. Again, with respect to booking your stay, ask them if they have a water filter installed. Or you will end up paying so much for water every single day, and you will create a lot of plastic waste. Number 3. And again, when booking your stay, ask them if electricity has to be paid in addition to the charges. Number 4. This one ended up being our most wasteful expense because we decided to withdraw from our Indian debit card in Vietnam over and over again. Not only the forex rates were terrible, but each withdrawal cost us 30 to 40k extra. So there are 2 options. 1. You get a forex card so you don't have to deal with poor exchange rates, or you make a close estimate of your expenses and carry it in cash. Number 5. Carrying a raincoat is the most common thing in Vietnam. It can rain literally anytime. So naturally, it must be a staple for you too.
Now that, in our opinion, was everything that you need to know before going to Vietnam.
But if there's anything you need to know, let us know in the comments.
And we promise to answer it.
Next episode onwards, our Vietnam vlogs will start.
Don't forget to subscribe and we'll see you there. 2, 1.
Some of these you can only come to know in hindsight.
2, 1, go. देखिए go, YouTuber.
So here are 5 mistakes you should. Oh.
Okay, so can you cover Vietnam in 6 months? In one trip, बोलो.
What was my second part?
Now that was.
You scared me.